Yo, ladies and gents, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 227B of Tales with TR. Let's get right into it. My next guest, former Minnesota Wild, New Jersey Devils, San Jose Sharks, Chicago Blackhawk, AHL Man of the Year, an all-around good guy, Kurtis Gabriel. Kurtis, how the hell are you doing? It's great to have you back.
Oh, thank you so much, man. It's great to be here. I'm glad we could fit this into the busy lifestyles here, and just pumped to chop it up with you.
Yeah, I know. I've been real busy lately. I think we had you on in July. How did the rest, or maybe even June, how did the rest of your summer go?
It's been pretty good. It's been interesting, obviously going through that life transition and seeing what's next for myself. But no, it's all good. It's exciting. I'm spending lots of time with my family around the Owen Sound attack every day at practice and watching all the games and being like a volunteer mentor for the guys, just somebody they can talk about if something's going on, somebody who's not a coach that's deciding their ice time, just somebody who's been there. And it's nice to be around the game.
I see. Yeah, I remember we talked a little bit about that. So, is this, when you look at your immediate future, is this what you want to do? And by the way, we spoke a little bit for anybody listening that hires me for events. I'm going to Sudbury to play an Easter Seals one the next couple of days. Remember Kurtis Gabriel, I think you'd be great at these things. But anyway, so you don't play any much because of your wrist injury, right?
Yeah, well, that's I haven't been doing much. I kind of, go out on the ice with the boys and kind of putz around a little bit, not too much, but maybe I gotta try out a couple more shots today and see how it goes. Maybe
Yeah.
if I go play, I gotta shoot a couple pucks, so we'll see how it goes.
How do you keep yourself in shape?
So I just ran 8K this morning. I like to go, I run one day 8K, I bike the next day for probably like 15 kilometers or miles, and then alternate that. And then I lift one day. So 5 days on, one day off, 5 days on, one day off.
Was that the way you trained for pro hockey, or is this just to keep yourself, you
Yeah,
know?
this is just to keep the ticker good, the body good, and yeah, hockey training was on another level. I mean, I was eating 6 meals a day, pounding weights, and doing two and two a days. That was a totally different story.
Last time you were on, we talked about role models. Now, can you think of any role model outside your family and outside the game of hockey? For me, I don't know. Role model might be a stretch, but I know I like baseball too. And there was a player, Don Mattingly, who's now assistant coach of the Jays, but he was a real, yeah, I thought he was an ultimate professional. He was a New York Yankee, which at the time, even though I'm a Jays fan, it just seemed it seemed to be important. My dad's a Yankees fan, and he was a well-spoken person, so I could say Don Mattingly. Is there anybody? Doesn't have to be a sports player. Is there anybody that you looked up to?
I might go way off the board here. I really look up to a guy named Michael A. Singer. He's this spiritual kind of leader that lives in
Mm.
just outside Jacksonville, Florida. I went to visit him in person in Florida at this Temple of the Universe, it's called. So I really look up to
Nice.
this guy who he really has helped me with the way he talks. I listen to him every day. It's really helped me post career and with life in general. So people should check him out. It's got some pretty cool stuff.
That's a great answer. Listen, your best sports moment outside of hockey. I know you were a well-rounded
Mm.
athlete growing up, and there must have been some, might be a high school championship. Who knows? For me, I look back at my other sports and have great memories.
Yeah, for me is another way off the board. In high school, my basketball team decided to all go play ultimate frisbee. So we had like, all the
What?
6'4", 6'5" guys go out with the really good frisbee players, and they would just huck that thing down the field, and we go up and get it, and we actually won all Ontario's. It was a freaking blast. Like
What? That.
undercover ultimate frisbee is the most intense sport. It is a bagger. You're playing in like inside domes. Teams are getting like at each other, and you're supposed to be like pretty like kosher and respectful, but like people are laying out and diving. People are like pushing each other. It got real intense.
Really? Okay,
Yeah, it was
I
just
don't even know the rules. I've heard of it. I don't. I don't. I
think
hate
of
to
it like
sound ignorant, but I am. I am
yeah,
ignorant to it. So tell me, what is it all about?
think about it's like a cross between lacrosse and football. There's an end zone, but you're only allowed once you catch the frisbee, you can only pivot on one foot. You can't take any steps. So you have to constantly pass the frisbee down the field, and you can go short passes, long passes, but the whole goal is you can't like knock it out of the person's hand. You have to just guard them. So you can pivot on one foot like basketball, and then you're just trying to advance the frisbee down the field into the end zone for a touchdown.
Wow. So you guys learned this sport now for a bunch of athletes that are 6'4",
Exactly.
6'5". What I mean, obviously, I think you're going to have a one up, but to win the All Ontarios is insane. How long did you practice before you
I
started
mean,
playing?
not that much. I mean, we're all, like you said, we're decently athletic, so we learned to throw the frisbee enough that we could throw short plays. But we had what you call handlers, which is kind of like a quarterback, and you keep them more in your defensive zone. And we could just make cuts and then take like long routes to the end zone, and they would just throw these big looping frisbee shots, and we'd go up and get them in the end zone. It was like jump balls for frisbees.
That sounds amazing. So when was this? Your entirety of high school?
No, this was 1 year. I think my last year before I left for the OHL, so like grade 11.
Did you so okay, and the next year you left then for the O.
Yeah.
Speaking of the O, you know what was a fantastic year for you? It must have been fun. But in 13-14, 60 games played, 51 points, 99 penalty minutes. And your team didn't have anybody to score. You were third in scoring on your team. You're like, um, like,
Oof.
so was that,
Oof. Oof.
it must have been a good year for you. I mean, you guys mustn't have won much, did you?
Oh, you're gonna wind me up now. You're gonna wind me up hitting this topic. Oh boy. The
I just looked at your stats. Last time I
No,
briefly looked over them, but I'm looking at that year going, you know
dude,
what? That is
dude.
a real solid year in any league.
No, it could have been 30 points better. Listen, let me set this
Really?
up. Let's set this up for you, okay? I get drafted as a third year eligible 20-year-old. So I can either go pro or go back to junior for my OA year. Minnesota asked me, you want to go pro or you want to go back to junior? And I said, you know what? I'm a late bloomer. I'm going to go back to junior, be one of the leaders on the team, get to play every situation. First line,
Good
power play,
call.
penalty kill, right? I go back there and these motherfuckers tell me to be, you know what? You're just a tough guy. You're not going to play special teams. You're just going to play second line with the same line that you played with third line last year. And you're going to go over the boards at 5-on-5 every third shift. And that's it. I had 17 points in the first 13 games, assist a game. I ended up leading the team in assists without playing the power play as the tough guy. Are you fucking
So
kidding me? How,
why
how do you lead the team in assists, not even on the power play? Like that's a gimme. Every quarterback of the power play usually on the first peep or D-man leads the team in assists. How am I leading the team in assists as the tough guy, not playing special teams?
I so you sat there the whole year then and took that?
I remember we
You
had
had to, I
four we,
suppose. I
we
mean,
had four
you're on a team.
overagers. We had
Yeah.
four overagers, and you can only play three at a time. So the first 13 games, they were rotating me in and out of the lineup, and I had 17 points in 13 games. Andrew Burnett at the time was a scout for Minnesota. He was up there to visit me. I'm standing there watching practice with him one day after I got off, and I'm like, what's going on here? I'm like leading the team in scoring, and I'm the only drafted overager, and they're rotating me out of the lineup. I got an assist per game. What the fuck, man?
What
It
did
was
he
crazy.
say?
Dude, it was crazy. It still
But
fires me up,
Minnesota
obviously.
understood, right?
I mean, no, I don't think so. Like, I would have had like 80, 90 points. That shafted me out of a full signing bonus. If I put on the power play, I would have had 70, 80 points for sure. Like Josh Anderson that year, who ends up being a great NHLer, he had the same amount of points as me pretty much, and he was playing with Domi and Marner and stuff. Who put me on that line? I would have 100. Anyway,
Wow. I
so
didn't
then you
know that. Hey,
you
no, but
get
I mean, you don't
you
have
get
to
typecasted
fucking
as a tough guy, and you don't get any opportunity. I could have grown my confidence in my game. Fuck.
I often say to people, I think that's a good decision, by the way. Now, you being treated like that, that's unfortunate. But often kids want to, even I extend it to minor hockey. The kid gets upset he didn't make the, or her make the AAA team. When I'm like, if you were the last there, being you in the NHL getting sent back, I'm like, you could have gone to the A. I'm like, you could have gone to the AAA team, but on the AA team, you're going to get more time and space. You're going to be one of the captains. You're going to be, and that's the way I would have looked at it. I remember in I made Montreal as a 19-year-old, and they told me I was going back at the deadline. I went back to Red Deer. We didn't win it. We lost in Game 7. I had something crazy, like 32 goals in 31 games or something, counting playoffs. And it really gave me some confidence going into pro, which is what I thought you were going to say, because looking at the stats, they're good. But it's unfortunate. So when you finally did go pro, how was your first year?
I mean, I got 16 points, which was my highest output ever in pro, which isn't great. But I don't know. I wasn't ready to fight the big boys yet. I fought kind of the light heavies that year. and, got my feet wet in the league and stuff. And then I came back the next year and started fighting like the bigger boys. My second year pro kind of worked up to it. I mean, my first year I lined up with Trevor Gillies and Brian McGrath in Adirondack. I'm 21 years old, and Gillies
Oh
looks over
God.
at me and Gillies goes, "Are you ready for this?" And I just go, "Honestly, not this year." He goes, "Okay, fair."
Wow. So I was I'd hurt my ankle in Dallas, went to Boise for a year, and the next year I just it was bad. It was a high ankle sprain. But I came back to Cincinnati in the coast and said, I'll give this one last try. And it didn't end up working out for my ankle. Did for my acting career, I guess. But anyway, Gillies comes up to me. He was on the way up, and he hit me. We fought, and I've got it in my second book. It's one of the hardest punches I've ever taken were Ryan Vandenbush, Mark Morrow, and Gillies. In that I was awake. He hit me, and I was knocked out for a second. I felt like I was going to puke. I was dizzy. I went to the penalty box, and he kind of talked me through it because he's not a bad guy. He just wanted to eat everybody on the ice. Just, I want to kill you. And he remember him saying in the penalty box, "No hard feelings." I said, "Fuck, man, I played in the NHL. I fought Ty Domi. Like, hard feelings? It's all good. I know why you wanted to fight me, but I go, holy shit, dude." And then he got up to the NHL for a while. What's the best advice you've ever taken? Hockey or no
Wow,
hockey? It could be anything. And
best
that, you know what?
advice.
That's a very philosophical question. I
I
just
love it.
laid that on you.
I
It's
love
hard
it.
in like 10 seconds.
I was the guy that answered when who's my somebody I look up to. I answered with the spiritual philosophy guy. So this is right up my alley. So for me, it's the best advice is that you have to see everything in life as happening for you and not to you.
Okay. See everything in life as it's happening for you and not to you.
And that doesn't matter
Oh,
what it is. It could be on paper the worst thing ever. You lose a child. It's ubiquitous. Everything's happening for you. It's the only way to stay sane in this insane world.
that is a corresponding message with a lot of religions. Like I've often said, I keep beating this horse. I'm not religious, and people think because of that I'm an atheist, but I'm not. I find it hard to just believe what's just written in the Bible as it is. That's it. That's me. If you do, it's all good. But that right there, like I'm more of like a phyllis. I think there's something, and I like good philosophers, good quotes. And that one right there pretty much sums up a lot of religion, at least the point of them. My daughter often says, growing up, and it's hard. She asked me at like, she's 14 now. At like 11, I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I said, if we were going to come up with some commandments, say, what would we come up with? And we just narrowed it down. Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. And I believe that's out of the Catholic Bible, Christian Bible. And all you need is love from the Beatles. I said, if you do those things, it's pretty good. But I like this. Look at everything in life is happening for you, not to you. I'm going to add that one to the list.
Religion is man-made, dude. We're not religious beings. Every single
I
one of
agree.
this people on the planet, whether they know it or not, are spiritual beings having a human experience. That's my take on it. Religion is just a
Right.
bunch of people trying to get power over other people. It's the oldest crap of the book.
Okay, you know what? I like the cut of your jib here. I see it the same way. I just haven't gone to see any spiritual leaders. I read philosophy. I listen to philosophy. I go back. I still read Marcus Aurelius, Plato,
Mm.
Socrates. I mean, I go back because they had the same thing. They were trying to figure out what the point of life is all about. And, from Rene Descartes right up, you could go John Locke, you could go Karl Marx. You might not agree with everything that these people are saying, but they advance our reason for being through ideas, and I got to respect all that. And now. By the way, is that the message of who's the gentleman that you mentioned earlier that you looked up to?
Yep,
Like
Michael A. Singer. Yes, sir.
Michael A. Singer? Okay,
Yep.
that's great advice and something to chew on. Thanksgiving. I don't know what your experience is. I've had it in like I just had a pretty decent weekend. Am I wrong? We celebrated here in Canada a little about a month before they do in the United States. I feel in the United States it's a bigger holiday. It's a bigger event. I think you might like fly home. Like some people stay home for Christmas, but they'll fly across the country to see their family on Thanksgiving. I think that's more of a US thing. Not that we don't celebrate it. It's a fine line because we do. But in my experience, it's like I had a pretty calm weekend. Went in and, I visited my parents. It was all right. Now, all that being said, do you have any Thanksgiving memories? And does your idea of Thanksgiving correspond with mine in that it doesn't it seem a little bit bigger in the United States?
I think it's a perfect example of how the U.S. and Canada are different. In Canada, it's much more of like a homey, family time, low key, eat some turkey, whatever.
Hmm.
In the past for me anyway, and then in the States, it's like an event. It's like a football event. It's like let's tailgate, let's like go out and do something.
Yeah,
Like
you're right.
when I played in Iowa, we'd go on the road to play the Texas Stars, and we're at Austin's campus tailgating a football game. Like we're like, what the hell is going on here? Like in Canada, it was always go up to the grandparents, have a nice homey time. Those are my memories of, when my grandparents were able to and just cooking the whole spread just like they did at Christmas, and it was just unbelievable.
Speaking of tailgating, yeah. So my favorite Thanksgiving memory that has nothing to do with, I guess, my most elaborate was when I was playing in Cincinnati that year, actually, and we went to a Bengals game and there was a big tailgate and everything, and it was like all tied in with Thanksgiving. So I really remember that. I didn't have any family, so all the team got together, and anyway, it was a lot of fun. Do you have any big time Thanksgiving memories? It was my first NFL game.
Uh, I mean that as an American one going to that like University of Texas to watch the football game and seeing that aspect, but I still just love going to my grandparents in Markham, Ontario, and just having the full Scottish Thanksgiving dinner. Like that's for me, just really great family time, super simple. That's what I love too. And my grandpa was a big like James Bond guy, so we'd always watch like pull out one of the James Bond films and watch it like late
Beautiful.
to the night.
Love it. I'd seen most, I think, and then just about a year ago, maybe. But I watched each one from start to finish, and I love them. Even the bad ones are great. So, and I don't know how many bad ones are there really. Okay, and speaking of October and holidays and events, Halloween's coming up. Do you have a favorite costume? Do you have a jersey that you wore sometime? No, in Tri Cities before it was really a thing. Now everybody has seems a Halloween jersey, but we had a pretty cool one. My favorite costume ever, I'd have to think about one here on George Street. One year, I went down with just speedos on and a whistle around my neck, and had my wallet in my crotch as a lifeguard. I got thrown out of most bars. I was an adult too. Wasn't that long ago. Anyway, do you have any good costume memories?
My favorite, probably, I guess two. Favorite was though in Lehigh Valley. I was Mugatu from Zoolander, and I was just like loaded up on edibles and just had a great time. It was a fantastic night. And then another time in Toronto, I was a priest, which I thought was hilarious since I was having my own spiritual awakening and stuff. And just I was going around the party acting like a priest, just talking to people about stupid shit, and I thought it was hilarious.
Well, in the definition of priest, you are one of sorts, and you've proved that just in the last few minutes now. Which I mean with your philosophy. So, of the NHL, okay, so you had stints in Minnesota, New Jersey, San Jose, and Chicago. In those places, there would have been some legendary leaders on each team. You're not throwing shade at the ones you're not going to mention here. I just want to know, did anybody stand out? Again, for me, it probably would have been, Saku Koivu, Vincent Damphus. When they spoke in the room, I listened more than everybody else because they seemed like philosophers while they were in the room. Speaking of philosophy again, but you know what I mean? Mark Recchi was great to me. It was like almost he was a big brother figure, or like he would go out of his way because he was a veteran, and he should. But it was almost when those guys spoke, I was almost hypnotized. Did you look up to anybody like that when you played?
I'll go through every team, and we won't talk about the bad ones because there's quite a few. Jason Pominville, unreal in Minnesota.
I've
Jared
heard that.
Spurgeon, Jared Spurgeon, unbelievable.
Okay.
Then you go to who's next? Sorry, New Jersey, Travis Zajac, unbelievable,
Mm.
unbelievable. Andy Green,
Manitoba one.
unbelievable. Yep, Andy Green, the captain. And then to San Jose, 100% Brent Burns, and unbelievable. Made me feel comfortable. Me and him were like wrestling in the middle of drills in practice. He was pitching my stick into the stands. That did the rest of the drill. I didn't have a stick, so I'm jumping on his back in practice, like crazy stuff. And who else is there? Mario Ferraro, even though he's younger than me. unbelievable guy, like one of the best guys I ever ran into. And then in Chicago, Jonathan Taves made me feel like I played with him for 20 years.
You know what? Doesn't surprise me given his MO and given his success. Isn't that great though when you're coming in and you're with a new team, and especially if you're younger and you have people like that? I can't reiterate that to people enough, especially like a junior kid who's up and leaving. I often think to myself, hopefully you get yourself with a good billet family, because that's way underrated. No one talks about it, but if you don't, it
Oh
might,
yeah.
because this might set you up for the rest of your life. So
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
hopefully you get with a good billet family and you get on with a team that, there's some good guys leading you, because that's huge. People don't realize that. I just, as a young player, that was my big thing, nerves, and I just wanted to fit in. I think that's at the root of it, part of the reason I liked fighting. I knew I'd be accepted by the guys, and to have good people was so important for mental health as well. And I'm sure you probably agree.
1000%. I mean, look at how we're treating the rookies now in Owen Sound. These guys coming in, we're trying to make them feel as comfortable as possible. We want them to be comfortable, ready to play their game. They're small guys, they're 150 pounds. You want them to feel as comfortable as
Yeah.
possible. And we have some unreal 16-year-old kids on this team in Owen Sound, unreal kids to work with. So I'm it's cool to see that they have good billets that come from good families. They're getting set up right early on, because I know back in your day, I'm sure it was a nightmare.
Nightmare. Well, it was just whoever put in a bid, whoever, like, I don't think there was a huge filter process going on. Of course, the team would probably not put you in with a bunch of criminals, but for the for the most part, okay, my junior experience was Tri-City and Red Deer, and for the most part, real good people, but some really didn't have many rules. Like, I could look around and go, like, good thing I'm not in with so and so's billets, because my billets challenge me and they give me a regimen, and my parents were part of that process. And I remember my dad, because he played pro, knew the difference, but a lot of people don't, right? A lot of people don't. And from Newfoundland, a lot of them are going by region. I left to go out west, but they're going to the Quebec League. So there's a language barrier as well. So it can be tough. If you're a young kid out there and you're listening and you're in a situation like that, just make sure to get it rectified, because it's setting you up for the rest of your life. And for every unbelievable story, like a Jonathan Taves, who clearly learned from good people, there's probably a story of someone that should have made it that didn't, because they were being waylaid in the wrong direction.
Yeah, to touch on billets. Before you go, I'm meeting up with my first billets today, and I can't wait to see them. And I spent a good year there, and then they had a kid come back from the Czech Republic to not even play hockey, and he moved in just to change, like to live in Canada, and they took him in to like change his life for the better. So then I had to leave that great billet, went to another great billet for 2 years. They kicked me out because I ate too much. Loved them. They loved me. I just ate too much food. So I had to move on to the third one. And I was even buying my own chicken, and I still ate too much. And then I went to the third billet in my final year of overage, when I got to a billet where the rules were looser, and I got to be an overage and have a more fun. So I had a great billet experience.
That's great. And you know what? Those you're going to see your first billets tonight, and they're good enough to take a guy in that's from Czech. Imagine how he was feeling coming over. He must have felt so comfortable being taken in. Please give them a hug from me. I'm being dead serious. Tell them that that doesn't go unnoticed. And people like that are what makes the Canadian Hockey League anyway go around. I really think it could never work. No one ever brings it up, Kurt. I'm like, how does the CHL work? Because of the fucking billets. Because people are Swift Current and Prince Albert and Rwanda and Oshawa, wherever it is, are willing, because it's our sport. We're good people. At the core of hockey are all those fans and billets that make it happen. And I just hate to see it go unnoticed. What's the worst injury you ever had outside of the wrist?
The concussions, for sure. Early on in my career, from 17
Preaching to the
to
choir, my man.
Yeah, no, 17 to about 25, I had all of mine. And then obviously those are like 5 diagnosed, but I probably had 1,000 micro concussions, right? Like
Light
all the little ones.
sensitivity, was that a thing?
Nope. Not when I was playing. What my symptoms was like the Crosby symptoms, the eyes. Like my eyes just, it was
Yeah.
like I was watching like a fuzzy TV instead of a high definition TV, and that's how I knew something was off.
I used to have that a little bit too. And it's funny. I went back into the lineup and I wore a tinted visor. That was rather than wait. Now we're talking about the late 90s, but that's really what happened. And I remember I said, I still don't feel right. And I flew myself, the Habs reimbursed me. I flew myself to the Mayo Clinic, one of the best neurological places in the world in Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota. Doc was like, no, you need to take like time off, nothing, no helmet, no fucking, no tinted visor. Put that over in the corner. Like, don't come back and play up to your symptoms. Like, just don't have any symptoms and then come back. It's a hard, hard road to wade through when you're young. How many goals do you think Austin Matthews is going to get this year?
That's a great question. I've been listening to Elliot and Kyle Bukauskas and kind of plugging in more to the league this year. And I've been saying with Berube, I really think that there's something special that could happen here with the right mindset with these players. And you see Matthews have the no goals, no points to start, but even I noticed, and people have been saying it too, he's playing even more responsible. He's trying to
I
be
think so too.
He's trying to be even more detailed as a captain. And from knowing him just briefly personally and how great of a dude he is, I think he's just like, you know what? I've scored 68. I do not care what I get this year. If we win and win the Stanley Cup, that's all that matters. I think he's going full Ovechkin, the way Ovechkin said, screw it. I'm just going to play for the team and do whatever it takes. So I could care less how many scores. Let's say he puts up 35 in a down year and he has like a bunch more assists and he's just a plus 70 or something. Like he's just like focused in.
I agree. And the thing is, even the game they lost, they had 47 shots. Like, I think he's looked great. I mean, we're only talking about 3 games, but
yeah, he's at the post.
Yeah, right. And Berube seems, nothing against Keefe, but Berube seems, and you see how he put him on the penalty kill, and a lot of people are going, well, now he's dangerous on the penalty kill. Yes, but I also think there's something to that. Now you're captain. Here, we're going to give you a little bit more of a role. This is deep. Of course, maybe you'll score a goal, but that's not why you're out there, right? And imagine, this guy led the NHL as a forward in block shots a couple of years ago, and he didn't play the penalty kill. I couldn't believe that. Usually, and I'm talking like 99% of the time, whoever wins that is out there on the penalty kill because you're just going to block more shots. So I agree with you. I think, and I'm glad to hear you say he's a good guy, because I've often said, Kurtis, you've played a lot of pro sports. I've played you played in a lot of places playing pro hockey. You're a sports fan, as am I. It's rare that you get a nucleus of a team, core 4, and I know they don't make it far in the playoffs. And at first, I would jump on that, and now I'm like, everything I've heard, I got a buddy who was the equipment manager there for years, Dave Roper. Everything I've heard is that they're good people. Now, they love playing in Toronto, which a lot of people don't. They don't want the pressure. They're not fuck-ups, right? You're not finding out about, some fucking argument in a club at 4 a.m, right? No one's carrying a gun into a restaurant and getting there's no things that tend to turn up on other teams and other sports, whatever. It's non-existent. So, and these guys seem to want to win, and it'd be nice to see them get reward. I mean, losing in Game 7 a couple times. But anyway, I'm just glad to hear you say that, because if nothing else, I know they haven't done much winning, but they are good in the community, and they're, at some point, something's got to give. Right? Either he gets 75 fucking goals or they make the 3rd round or the final. But I'm with you. I think it's more likely going to be the latter.
I'll tell you what it is. You can be great people, great in the community, do everything right. But unfortunately, and honestly, looking back, I love the game of hockey. Would I do the same role again? I respect it, but I don't know if I would put my brain through that again. But the bottom line is, you are going to have to be in a lot of pain and get hurt to win the Stanley Cup. So you can be the nicest person and train the hardest in the off season and do everything right. But until it's like you got to go in the corner against Chernak on Tampa Bay, who's 230, and you're going to jump out of the way like Willie did, or, Marner's not.
Yeah, remember that? I remember that distinctly.
Or Marner doesn't want to go first in. Like, if you're winning a race to a puck and you jump out of the way so that the other guy could take it so you can lift his stick. No. You go in and you take a hit. Like, they have to want to get hurt. Like, it's just the bottom line. Think of all the injuries that come out when you win the Stanley Cup. These guys are going to have to sacrifice their body to win, and that's it. That's one thing that holds them back.
You know what? That's to sum up. I mean, there's been dozens and hundreds, thousands of hours dedicated to trying to break all that down, and I think you're right as well. And I remember that play like it was yesterday. Willie going down the right wing into the corner, and he stopped and pulled up. And I'm like, dude, even if you think that was your best chance to get the cup, the optics of that are awful, and it's going to chase you forever, and especially with the reputation you already have. And I guess I say all this because I believe that they must know that now. And I with Berube there, I think that might change. And I know I'm being optimistic there. I'm being glass half full, but maybe because of their success in the regular season, and hopefully they learn that, Kurtis. I'm kind of rooting for them. I can't believe I'm saying that. What is the biggest goal you ever scored? Now, this again could be minor hockey. It could be pro.
I mean, I did score a game winning goal at some Pittsburgh tournament when I went down and playing Double A when I was younger. But I have to go with my second NHL goal. I scored my first one through 2 nights earlier, and it was kind of like a fluky one. But this one, I could just feel it coming. Nationally televised against the Canadiens. I can feel it coming. I get it on the forecheck. I turn over a puck. I beat the guy to the net. I tip the puck. I put it in over Price. Game winning goal. I have the room to celebrate and there's some great photos of me. I stare right through the cutout where the camera is, and I just look right at the camera and I just give it a fucking let's go. And I've got these great pictures of it. It was by far
you got some great pics of it.
The best feeling of my life, hands down. I came out of my body.
Please tell me that you've got some of this memorabilia around your house. You kept things, and I go over to some friends' houses. I'm like, dude, you were in the NHL for part of 6 seasons, and I don't even see anything. Not that you got to be bragging, but oh, beauty! If you're on YouTube right now, folks, there's a picture of it. Now that is oh, you look like that could be Game 7, Stanley Cup, 50 goal, whatever you might say. You've got that. What I'm saying is that same elation, right? That same elation, which is great. Tell me that was a hockey card or something.
No, that's just some photo that the great, camera ringside person got that, best feeling. I've always wanted to do that, have the room to just be just let out the emotion of I just scored an NHL goal on Carey fucking Price.
Do you have, yeah, that's fantastic, man. I love this story, especially for a guy like you. Good guy. I mean, so how many of those do you have? Can you rip off a couple? And I'd like to put my podcast guests that, come on, at least repeated, on the wall with something signed. I'll trade you. I'll get you something from Shoresy or whatever.
Yeah,
as long as I can get one of those signed.
Yeah, go to Walmart and go to the photo booth and print it on some gloss paper.
Do that, yeah. I really mean it. I'd love to have it. Now, do you have anything to promote before I go? I'm literally going right now. I'm going to skate 12 to 1. Mm-hmm. Some kids at their noon hour. To help them out a little bit, and then picking up my daughter, taking her to training for soccer. Then I'm going to the airport where I'll be in Sudbury for the next 3 days. So I've got a big weekend ahead. What about yourself? Do you have anything to promote, and what are you up to this weekend?
I'm finishing up my online coaching course. I have a presentation today, and should be almost done that. But then just taking care of the body and listening to my guy Michael Singer. People should really check him out. His stuff's awesome and really helps me navigate the world. Seeing everything that's happening for us, no matter what it is pushing you to grow. I think we're all here on this planet to learn and grow. We're not here to always have the best time, but we're here to learn and grow. So that's what I try to keep my focus on.
Here to learn and grow for sure. Well said, my friend. And I appreciate having you coming on again, making time. I know you're a busy guy. Let's stay in touch. I'm sure our paths will cross again. Have a great weekend and happy hockey season, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a great weekend. Have a great day.
Thank you, folks. That was Kurtis Gabriel. What a guy. And Kurtis is entering the second part of his journey in hockey, being retirement, and not that he's too far removed from it. I'm still not removed from it, and I'm probably going to be immersed in our great game until I'm 6 feet under. Hopefully that's a long, long way away. What a game that we get to play and we get to share as Canadians, as hockey fans, wherever you are. Shout out to the Billets. We just talked about the Billets a little bit. Mine in Tri-City, I just came back. We're Mark and Nancy Eby. I can't say it enough. If I didn't have great Billets, then I would not be where I am today. And by extension, in Red Deer, even though it was just a few months, Neil and Vera Tomalty were fucking awesome and helped me shape myself into the man I am today. Whether you like that or not, who knows? But you're listening to this, so they did something right. Thank you, folks, for listening to episode 227B of Tales with TR. If you're downtown St. John's, check out the Bull and Barrel, Trinity Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, Loose Tie. You want to have a bite to eat? Check. Oh, and Greensleeves. You want to have a bite to eat? Check out Loose Tie, Blue on Water, and of course Wedgwood Cafe, who also do catering. You want strength and balance for the body and mind. You want to work out. You want to be a better person. Ryan Power Conditioning. Talk about an ex-professional hockey player. He is the fastest player I've ever seen. He trains Alex Newhook and had a great hockey career himself. Check it out. Power Conditioning, Rope Walk Lane. True Hockey, take what's yours. Pitbull Pain Relief, the pain sticks that just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. And, of course, Mr. Lube, there's 2 locations here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. One's on Torbay Road, one's on Kenmount Road. Live, laugh, lobe. Folks, Mugsy jeans are the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. For comfort and stretch and all-around great fit, go to Mugsy Jeans. I swear by them. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. See you tonight, Sudbury, Ontario.